Okay, we're going to do it a window here. This is how you do a window. We're going to show you how to clean it properly. We're going to show you how to spray it properly and the proper results. And we're going to do a dye reduction test. First, a good ammoniated window cleaner. This is ZEP. And I dropped my rag. If you're doing a big job, you're going to use a regular window washer's tools. But we want to make sure that we got all the surface and get it good and wet, nice and clean. Don't be bashful, this stuff is relatively inexpensive. And make sure that you get all the dirt. Now if the window's dried out a little bit because it's very warm, you gotta put a little extra material on here before you squeegee. Always do the final wash or removal with a squeegee. Otherwise you're gonna have streaks on your window. There's no way that you're going to be able to do a window without streaks and swirl marks if you don't use a squeegee. Now you'll see at the bottom of the window we have buildup of fluid. You probably have a little bit here around the edge, and you'll probably have a little bit on the other edge. Now you don't want to leave that buildup because there's probably soils in there. And when the cleaner evaporates and goes away, it's going to leave the soil. As you can see, or maybe not, the inside of the window here is a little bit dirty. So now that I've cleaned the outside, I'm going to go clean the inside, which makes this much easier to see for me to apply PURETi and to make sure I've done the job properly. Okay? Again, what we want to do is wet the window well. Make sure we've loosened all the dirt up with a rag or a professional window cleaning tool. And again, put a little bit of PURETi on there, or put a little bit of cleaning fluid on there so that this slides nice and smooth. Pull it down so there's no swirls or streaks. And then wipe off the excess. One of the things to keep in mind when you're doing this is the fact that the only thing that your customer is going to have that you can really see when you leave is a clean window. So if you only do half the window, just the inside, or just the outside, not the inside, your customer is going to come by later and say, "What exactly did you do? Because my windows are still dirty." So if it's at all possible, do both sides. Before I spray, I always want to double check, make sure I'm okay. I'm up here at our laboratory in Connecticut. The ambient air temperature is in the mid-40s right at the moment, and relative humidity is right around 60%. It was very, very rainy the last couple of days, so we got good high humidity, which makes spraying a little bit easier, but can create some problems, as we've talked about before. And the glass temperature is right around 52, so we're certainly well within the application zone. You see the probe temperature up there is a little bit higher, but that's because it really hasn't stabilized yet since we were inside with it. So, a word of caution, if you have your probe in a case somewhere or in the car, what can happen is it's going to be warmer in there than it is outside. So, while that says it's 61 degrees out here, it's actually only maybe about 50, and that will stabilize in just a little while. And I'm going to turn this off, and then I'm going to start to spray now that I know I'm at least above freezing and I got good relative humidity. And my substrate temperature is warm, but not too warm and not too cold. Now we're ready to start spraying. I have about 40 psi on my air pressure regulator. I'm going to turn my valve on, and I've got a little bit too much fluid pressure here because I've been playing with it, so we're going to turn it down just a little bit. And you can see I've got a nice plume of PURETi clear coming out of the gun. Now the other part of this is we want to make sure the pot is grounded somewhere, so we're going to ground it right to the door. This will actually ground this to the surface here and give us good transfer of material to the substrate. When we start spraying, we want to make sure we don't spray at the surface we're going to spray. And as you can see, I'm a good distance away. I get good breakup of the material, and we're going to spray those windows. I'm going to move in slightly to make sure I get good transfer on the window. If you can see the window there, I'm getting material on the window. It looks good. And I'm done. And that's what the window should look like when you're done spraying the purity on there. And as it dries out, it should be totally invisible. And we turn the gun off. And we move on to the next project. It's taking away a while to dry because it's got very high humidity out here today, so I can put that on there. You still on?
Yeah.
Now we're probably about 20-30 seconds out, and you get still a little bit of purity on the surface. You say, it seems to be taking a long time to dry. Remember, we had about 60% plus relative humidity out here, so the moisture and purity has to evaporate and go somewhere, and the only way it's going to go out is evaporating into the air, and it's already very heavily moisture laden. So just about gone now. We got a nice clear window. It's been well treated with purity. We know it's on the surface. We saw it there. We're done with it. We're going to get away from it and let it cure out for a day or so.